And you can do that by looking at what Muslims actually say in the Middle East. There was a Pew Research poll on Muslim attitudes in the Middle East. Again, in most of these countries, the vast majority of Muslims support these intolerant beliefs. This is not a tiny minority, and this is not a religion of peace. And we're putting Europe under great threat in a security sense by importing this mass wave of intolerance. George in Connecticut, you're on the air with Tommy Robinson. Go ahead, George.
Hi, Tommy. It's nice to speak to you. I'm wondering if you happen to know Lutz Bachmann out in Germany. You've been to many demonstrations. I was wondering, you out in Germany at all?
I know Lutz, yeah.
You know Lutz, yeah. He may actually be a cousin of mine. I don't know for sure, but I looked up some stuff, and he actually may be a cousin. I just find the whole debate on this stuff is ridiculous, because you should really bring out, you should try to find some people who have converted from Islam. There's lots of them. That you can find them all over the web, and if they could bring some of them to speak out about the religion and what the real deal is, I think you'd convert a lot of people, because it'd be kind of hard for both Muslims and these numbskulls that want to believe that it's a peaceful religion would convert a lot of them. But I mean, I used to be in with a lot of Muslims when I was in college, because I was into understanding all types of religions, because I lived in Asia and various other places. And I'll tell you, I was in diplomatic circles because I had some pretty high friends. And when I went to their houses, some of the security people would show me their collection, because I have a German background, their collection of Nazi books and stuff like that, and how they revered the killing of Jews and stuff like that. So these people are the real Muslim Nazis. When people say Islamo-Nazis, they really are. I mean, I'm not to say all of them, but at the highest levels, that's what their attitude is. I mean, I can say that from actually meeting these people at the highest levels and speaking to them and the way they talk.
You can see that by the countries where Mein Kampf is the bestseller. It's across the Middle East. And also, when you talk about ex-Muslims, one of our speakers on Saturday at our rally in Birmingham was an ex-Muslim called Mohammed from Pakistan. And he gave a speech about his human rights and the ability. We have 3,000 to 4,000 apostates from Islam hide in the UK. And there's no charities to help them. There's no charity or government support to help these people get out of what necessarily is a cult. And also, just on the Lutz Bachmann point, I met Lutz, and it was so refreshing, because, look, I have a bit of a checkered history, but if it wasn't for that checkered history, or the mindset I had as a youth growing up, I wouldn't have been able to do or say the things I'm doing. I'd have run away at the first beating I had, the first terrorist threat, the first time the police come to my house and told my wife and me that terrorists want to kill us. We would have stopped. Now, Lutz is the same. When I met Lutz, I know full well that organisation and those leaders are not going to back down. They're not going to stop, because it takes a certain sort of character, and Lutz is that character. That's why I've got to take my hat in admiration at him and Vicky and the people behind the team in Germany. And they're as far away from Nazis as you can get. That's why this whole mainstream media perception of people and what that actually does, the image. And it's all done to try and stop support. It's done for people to make it dirty, to make it a dirty thing to support groups like ours. But luckily, so many people see through the mainstream media narrative now. And hopefully Europe's rising. Especially where Eastern Europe's rising. We just need to get Western Europe rising.
Okay, George, thanks for the call.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, just picking up on that, Tommy, on the Nazi issue, they tried to demonize you. From what I read a few days ago, Pegida's actually taking steps now to expunge these extremist elements from their ranks that are trying to glom onto it. You tweeted about a guy with a neo-Nazi tattoo who you basically banned from attending the demonstration. Tell us about that process of filtering out these actual extremists.
Well, I don't think in Germany they have that. From any of the demonstrations I've been out there, they are mainstream. They've got ordinary mainstream, old people, young people, families come in. They've got a complete mixture of the public. When I went on Saturday, I've made it very clear. People know where I stand on this issue. We're opposed to Islam as an ideology. Nothing to do with colour of skin, nothing to do with race. It's got nothing to do with it. Now, I turned up on Saturday and I walked into a hotel just in the morning, and there was a man and lady there, and they started talking to me. So I was talking to them. They said they were there for the protest. I looked down at the man's hand, and he had a swastika sign. So I stick a sign on his hand, tattooed. And then I looked at his face. His whole face was a tattoo. But he had 1488 under his eye. And then he had a Star of David on his forehead with evil. And I just said, "What? You're not coming to a protest. You're not coming to our demonstration." And I said, there's a 0% chance I'm being seen anywhere with you, or you're walking on our demonstration with us. And then he got up and I just said, "You need to leave." And he did leave. And then now I'm getting not backlash, but I'm getting people messaging me saying, "Why did you kick this bloke out?" But none of the people that come on the demonstration, it's just obviously in the UK, the real far right, which there isn't many of them, but the real far right despise me. I'm seen as a Zionist and a race traitor. And I said, look, it's simply for sticking to my morals. My morals are that to win this battle anyway in the UK, we need every community in it. We need every community on board. And I have no problem with, even when it comes to immigration, I don't have a problem with immigration per se myself. I have a problem with Islamic immigration. Most of the people I know are sons of immigrants. My mother was an immigrant into the UK. My problem comes from the fact that most of those other immigrants or European immigrants that would come are culturally and ethically and morally the same as us. That's a very, very different situation with the Muslim immigrants. So as you said about the Pew Research, I believe about 86% of Pakistanis think that apostasy should be punishable by death. That's backward. That's backward, and it's not what we want in this country. And because of that mindset, that's why Mohammed, who was, or Adam as he now is, that's why our first speaker on Saturday has been living in hiding in the UK for 20 years. Living in hiding. I've met quite a few apostates who are living in hiding because they fear their families, their mums, their dads will kill them.
Well, Islam's a religion of peace, Tommy. How could they possibly think that?
That's it. But that is what we're importing, and the sooner people see that, and you are right, and it is valuable that we hear from ex-Muslims, which is why hopefully Mohammed now in the UK, his old name was Mohammed, will play a leading role in that. Because he stood up on stage, and in his speech he said, "You keep calling Tommy a racist. You keep calling him a racist." And he said, "What are you going to call me? What are you going to call me? I'm from Pakistan." And he also brought his Pakistan flag, which, to be honest, the symbolism of what that flag represents for me, I don't like it because of all the Pakistani grooming gangs, because of Pakistan as a country, because of the blasphemy laws, because of all these things. But I'm not going to tell him he can't bring his flag. So he held his flag because there's millions of Christians in Pakistan who are persecuted, who are targeted. But when he stood up, he said, "This is the flag of my heritage. This is where I'm from." He said, but I'm British first, Pakistani second. And also I had a lot of people trying to give me a bit of flack because he had his country's flag there. He was standing up on stage, putting his life in danger, but openly calling it on with Islam in the UK. And if he wants to fly his own country's flag, then I'm not going to tell him he can't. So, but yeah, we have so much to do, so many problems.
And what we have to remember, of course, is that many ex-Muslims and indeed current Muslims stand up against this intolerance, and they become the immediate targets of the regressive left. We had a report put out by a left-wing group a few weeks ago called Hope Not Hate. They had a list of, quote, anti-Muslim bigots. One of the people included on that list was a devout Muslim woman who campaigns against honor killings. She was put on a list of anti-Muslim bigots. So again, the regressive left has aligned with Islamists to the point where they now attack constantly people like, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, people like Majeed Nawaz, who are standing up for the true reformation of Islam. Those people are the ideological bedfellows of Islamists, and they're part of the problem, which is why we need to keep calling them out. We'll be back with the final segment with Tommy Robinson. We got David Knight coming up in the 4th hour. Breaking news at Infowars.com, but join us for the final segment coming up. Top story up on Infowars.com. Twitter announces partnership with Islamist feminists to restrict free speech. Twitter is organising a trust and safety council with Islamists and feminists because, of course, they're the perfect source to go to for free speech control to prevent abuse, harassment and bullying, which critics point out will lead to mass censorship on Twitter. They've already suspended the account of yet another prominent critic of Islam, Christina Lila. Saudi Arabia is Twitter's second biggest shareholder. I wonder if they've had any influence now as Twitter moves towards outright censorship. Their stock is tanking. Top executives within Twitter are leaving the company, and yet they still continue to march forward with these authoritarian censorious policies, aided by that magic duo of Islamists and feminists who are aligned because they both hate free speech. But Tommy, we got a few minutes left here. Just summing up, we've got all these top security experts throughout Europe warning that if this mass immigration madness is not reversed, we're going to see civil unrest, maybe even war. Tell people where you think it's heading, and then in summary, how they can support you and get the book.
That's exactly where it is heading, unfortunately. Unless we see in the next coming year a mass movement of people putting immense pressure, because there's nothing our political leaders fear more than a mass movement of people. That's what we need to see. And just while you was on that about the left-wing group, that was Hope Not Hate who made that report calling moderate Muslims anti-Muslim bigots. You have to look at where their funding comes from. That group's funding comes from open border policy groups in the United States as well. So, and I've met the leader of there, and he doesn't actually believe what he's writing. So a lot of these people are doing it for an agenda and for a career path because there's so much money on the left. But people can get behind and support us just by joining. There is an anti-Islamist group in every country pretty much now, and we're trying to coordinate them. We're trying to bring them all together under one banner. So that on certain times of the year, I believe the next date will be sometime now in May. And then when that date comes in May, we'll take to the streets in the UK, in Germany, in Holland, in Australia. We hope that people in America join on, that people in Canada join on, and that across the globe at the same moment, at the same time, people are showing solidarity and unity with each other and showing some sort of resistance to what's being forced upon our countries. Because that's what it is. It's being forced upon us. And then with regards to the book, the book is just basically my story. It's called Enemy of the State, and it's the worrying story of the fact that the lengths the state will go to, and just how much influence Islam has already. The lengths they'll go to silence and stop and disrupt any criticism of Islam. And for example, I'm in court again tomorrow. It's never ending, and that's to tie you down and stop you and swamp you so much that you're just drowning in problems that the state are throwing at you. So you don't have any energy or time to tackle what's happening to the country. But yeah, that's basically it. And you can get that on tommyrobinson.co.uk, or you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle in America, Kindle in most countries. So.
Okay, that's going to wrap it up. Tommy, we'll be sure to have you back on as this unfolds. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. There goes Tommy Robinson.